But I'm very, very happy that I was given this task because I've read the books. I've read the Beyond the Fourth Heritage, both the older version and the new version. I've read the Fourth Heritage itself, which for me I think is really a masterpiece. For me, I've read the Republic, and I think you are moving quite ahead of us. But that's where we are headed. And of course, we look forward to reading more from you. So because of all that knowledge, one, it has actually inspired me to, because I have so many manuscripts on the shelf. Yes, I was already asking myself, what is the benefit? Because for us, the academicians, that's what they normally insist on. But that is knowledge which is seated in between the paper and maybe on the computer. Is it of any use to sit there? So this, your zeal here and your philosophy has really inspired me to go beyond, because for me I had now the Fourth Heritage there, but not well defined. But I'm sure I have my hairy clear now, which is a testimony. And I've been toying actually with my hairy. This is not a presentation on my hairy, but I can tell you that it is on the mirror philosophy. I take the mirror, and of course the purpose was to look at me, yes. I tend to say I know myself, but maybe I don't. But who is me? And then what comes out, I think, is most important than what we see on the surface. So I've titled your work, Beyond the Fourth Heritage, a treatise on self. So what does it mean to call myself Mercy or Mirembe? I didn't even choose those names. I had no say. It's only my parents who thought I should be called. And then most times you hear people introduce themselves and say, yes, now that is a reality we have. But then people say, I'm called. So it means somebody is calling you that name, but you yourself. Who are you? What would you call yourself if you had a chance? And this is what I picked actually from the books. Then you see a picture of those young people here. So we sampled some Ugandan names. And you'll be surprised at what those names do for people or don't do for people. Names can do for us and they can't do also for us certain things. Chirunda, you told us in how your name came to be Chirunda. Of course, I have a question. Why did you change from the bigger name, which looks like Chirunda is your brother's name, yes, but yours was Kampara. Is it Kampara or Kampara? Same thing. Because I would think Kampara has a lot of energy, but that is your decision, and of course, everybody should make, in other words, an individual decision, because after you shed off that name, which had many associations you didn't want to deal with, then you picked Chirunda, and it has pushed you forward to where you are, and it's still giving you energy. I think that is what is important. Now, there are many perspectives also on how we look at issues. I take the story of the elephant. This is the story of the 7 blind men. Someone touched the ears and said the elephant looks like a tray, a winnowing tray. Another one touched the legs and they said, oh, it is like a pole, and so on and so forth. But the perspective certainly will form, they are part and parcel of who we are, but at the end of the day, we should harness them together. Just like the elephant has one body with those different parts, so that we are identified and can be defined as something which is there. So, I've taken the liberty, of course, to your message to repackage it. Because I know all of us were supposed to have read this book in order to come and participate in this conference. So it wouldn't benefit to just bring the aspects as they are. So I gave them another view In other words, that's what review means. I looked at them again. And so I think you are actually struggling to show us the perspectives which we inherit or take from the cultural, from the religious, from the colonial. They certainly, of course, influence who we are and our minds. In a way, they also affect our inner truth. But there are those inner truths we have not touched yet. Most important, which Chirunda emphasizing, is the thought. Can you use your thought? Can you use your intellect? Can you use your reason? And I think that is very, very important. Now, I've taken out the verb to see, because we can see in many different ways, and seeing is what gives us the perspective. I've looked at seeing in 4 ways. With the physical eye, I don't know if my translation of Ruganda is correct, whether Ruganda or Soga Lava, to see with the physical eye, just to look. But when I see with my inner eye, which is linked also to the spiritual person who I am, I think I'm looking beyond the surface and going inside, and you call upon me to have some moral ethic somewhere. And so I thought that would be analyzing. I'm interpreting you, but you'll correct me if I interpreted wrongly. So it is to analyze. If I look with reason or intellect, then I'm making evaluations, I'm making judgments, I'm making conclusions, and I can make suggestions. Now, of course, in the morning we heard about the young and the old. So I had this proverb which we normally have in Uganda, I think, also in other languages. Nteri soryo mukuru. Okay. So, those, because of experience, because of the knowledge which has been gathered, sometimes we believe that when you live longer here, then you are able to see properly. And then, of course, there are the emotional eyes, which really touch the heart, and in order to feel. And of course, I know we have other proverbs which may not be good. This is a saying, I think. Kurade is a very common saying. Like you analyze and you look at a situation, you say, you child, the only thing I wish you is to grow up, because then you'll be able to see. But in all this, do we lose our life by seeing? No. And we should work hard at our gardens. Ugandans love to eat, so there is a katogo dish there. The ants love to work. We also love to dance and sweat. We love to sing. And of course, some of us, and which we should actually get out of us, we harbor grudges, we harbor anger. It's good that your anger actually sprouted and came out and then set you free. I think that's what we should aim at, instead of keeping quarreling with the past, quarreling with our parents, quarreling with the schools, with the universities. Just set yourself free and move on. Now, theater is something which I know very well. And of course, in theater, we actually also have this verb to see, because we use theater to diagnose society's problems. It's like you put a patient in the theater there, you touch with those strong lights, and you see what is wrong in order to correct it. So, theater, the word theater itself is a seeing place, if you talk of a building. And of course, later on, as it evolved, it became a seeing and also a hearing place. So that when you see physically, you also hear. And hearing is not only hearing on the surface, but it should go up to your brains, to your intellect, so that you actually properly hear and get the change. In the theater, we call it get edified and move out of that space, a better place than you entered it. people who act or who go on stage, normally, by the end of the production, they feel better. I think Fajir will give a testimony here. Because I saw you featuring in a new production, and I thought that was good. Because also there is a bias here. Sometimes when people get older, they think there are things you shouldn't appear in, like theater being one of them. But at least you are encouraging us, and I think the young people, you are a very strong role model for young people, and you also talk about role models which we need in society. Now, in literature itself, there is a play on the word sight. If you read Shakespeare, if you read Greek literature, many people write and use this image or this metaphor. People who have eyes actually don't see. Why? Because they don't want to see, or they don't use those eyes to see. People who have ears, now I'm also going into the Bible, you can hear. But the Bible is also having a cultural setup. That's why it relates to us and the social setup. People who have ears have stopped hearing. And I think the current, I don't need to go very far, but the current situation we are handling in Parliament today may be a very big testimony here. People have ears, but they have refused to hear, or they don't hear. Now, people have tongues, and I think this is the emphasis which Chulunda is making. God gave you the potential, the capabilities. I liked your comparison of the Karamajong and the German. Actually, it shocked me, and I sat and thought about these two images. The Karamajong in Uganda is that one whom we know should receive aid, is backward, is what. Those are social biases. I don't believe in them, but they are social biases. But then the German, as you say, we know they are very confident, hardworking, they know what they are doing, they are perfect. But when you say that both are endowed the same way, at first I got shocked, but I saw that is the truth, because I also had an opportunity to study from German, and I know they are ethic. And once they trust that you can do something, they have trusted you and they will try to promote you, and then, so which means that actually we can use the God-given gifts. God gave us, I picked a tongue, I picked lips and voices. So why don't we speak? Why don't we write? Why don't we perform these serials? The other important aspect which I picked from your book was the iceberg. For me, I thought this was the thesis. This was the center of the discussion. This was the thing which keeps Africa backward. We have this iceberg looking like a very huge obstacle there. And what all of us have been trying to do, and also the donors or the partners, have been trying to address the top of the iceberg, the symptoms, leaving the real problems. Mr. Mulumba, actually the problems of the curriculum, I think we shall view up, because we have always said there is a disconnect between Makerere University and the issues on the ground. And then, of course, when we graduate the students, we say they are floating on the street. But it is part of the broaching the real problem. We are looking at the iceberg, I mean the top of the iceberg, trying to treat the symptoms, saying humanities are useless, but the real problem is out there. And there are two things I picked from the definition of the real problem: lack of a theory or a philosophy to drive our lives, a principle to guide us, a motivation to give us the passion to move forward, and then the inability to transcend the triple heritage. We are always bogged down by the tribe. We are always bogged down by traditions, by religion. How will they see me? And of course, the colonial. You can't do that. Who are you? You are not Aristotle. You are not Socrates. How can you come up with a theory? How can you come up with a philosophy? But Those are problems which we have to transcend, I agree with you. So, then what next? We go beyond these hectares of ours. Now, again, I'm taking into a comparison of the theatre. Those of you who have entered the theatre building, the conventional theatre building, you know there is a stage, and there is a demarcation between the stage and the auditorium. Currently, we are saying that is not good, but there was a philosophy behind it. Because when you sit, when the stage is there and the auditorium is here, and you are sitting in the auditorium watching the actors on the stage, you realize they are actually actors and they are acting a part of life or a part of a social issue which may affect you. But when you get involved and you become also an actor, somehow you may get lost, you may get taken up, and you may not play that role of using your intellect for that reason. So the fourth wall was basically for reason. And yet, in order for people to think about their lives. We have everything laid down for us in the fourth heritage. I mean in beyond the fourth heritage. But I would also recommend that actually you read the fourth heritage. Because you can't go beyond before you know. And I'm very happy I got the books in time, because then now I know exactly what you are meaning. Now, I've developed a model which will reinforce Chirunda's model for work. But actually, this is what Chirunda says. See things, I've said that I've used my own words. Think, act, and then you have moved into a new paradigm. You have shifted. Now, what I did is just qualify that one by, I hope the small letters I think they are readable. Because to see, we, just like I've said, I'm summarizing, we use the outer eye and the inner eye. To think, you need to hear and listen, and then use the intellect. Some people hear, but they don't listen, they don't allow it to go. Then to act, you need the passion, you need fear, be convinced, but have a goal. We must define our goals. And then the shift, I borrowed Chirunda's words of the knowledge towers. The knowledge towers, basically used them to signify something we can bequeath to future generations. But I think the knowledge tower, through what we are able to see and see properly, to think and reason out, to act with passion, but most importantly, with a goal or a set objective in mind. And of course, we are using all this through the inheritance or the stores of knowledge which have become towers really in our lives. We have so much experience, so much knowledge that we should share, and in sharing is when we shall make this shift, not individually, but also with many people at the social level moving with us. And why are we making this shift? In order to progress, in order to lead, because why are we waiting for others to lead us? To take the responsibility in our hands, to demonstrate what we know, and of course share, and most important also, to bequeath. I noted that we are looking at this promised land, which Chirunda is proposing that we will be tracing on Rwanda, but in order to get there, we need some map, some roadmap, or some model which are proposed there. And my presentation comes to an end. I acknowledge the sources. Chirunda's books, Beyond the Fourth Heritage, has been a great source. The Fourth Heritage, I see declared is my best. My favorite in that triangle book.
That's when I bust out.
That's when you bust out and you can feel it. The Fourth Republic is good. The dream is really good.
Really?
Good, yes, because I also read it. But we need to have enough courage to reach there. Because many of the proposals there may not happen in the present time, but certainly it is there, the roadmap is there, the constitution is there, the three arms of governments, I think they are proposing two-tier and so on. That is all good philosophy, it is there. And then of course there are some books on theatre and resource as he has gone presenter. You've already said we cannot leave the technology behind, so I got a lot of resource also from the internet. At one point I remember I linked you to where I was saying Plato's Republic. Plato's Republic. Plato was a Greek philosopher, just in summary. And he also said in place his ideal republic. Actually, people used to go and study at that republic. And it produced many, many philosophers. So when you had said you organized the retreat on this book, then a mind came in me, and then of course we shared the notes of the retreat, but also the republic. Now, I saw a very great linkage between Plato's academy and the academy, but that could be for another discussion. We could share this there, but the main presentation is really on beyond the fourth heritage. And as we said before, we need really to make that shift, or to purposely determine to move on and on upward, not looking backward. Thank you very much for your time.